In episode 9, I added a permission rail to the agent, a gate that was supposed to block any tool it should not run. I tested the happy path, saw green and shipped it. It was doing nothing. The whole time, the gate never once ran, and the system had been telling me. In a grey warning line, I scrolled straight past. Nothing got exploited because the model happened to behave, but a guard you never watch fire is not a guard. So let me run this like a real incident because that is exactly what it was. Welcome back. Every previous episode built something. This one debugs something using everything we built. The traces from 11, the evals from 4, the security from 9. Here is the shape of any incident worth its name. An alert tells you something is off. A trace tells you what actually happened. You find the root cause, not the symptom, you fix it. And then the step everyone skips, a regression test so the same failure cannot sneak back. The incident is real and it is mine. Let me work it. The alert, it was not a page at 3 in the morning. It was worse because it was quiet. Every time I ran the eval, the SDK printed one line, "Can use tool will not be invoked for these tools." In plain English, the callback I was using as my security gate was never being called. The SDK said so on every single run, and I had trained myself to scroll past it as noise. That is the first lesson before we even trace anything. A warning you always ignore is not a warning. If it is not actionable, silence it. If it is an alert. This one was an alert wearing a warning's clothes. Now the trace, because a warning is a hint, not proof. I went to the receipts we already keep. If my gate was working, the injection runs should show it denying something or at least being consulted. It never was. Across every run, the number of times my permission rail actually made a decision was 0. Not it allowed everything, which would at least be the gate running. It simply was not in the path. This is why observability from last episode matters. I did not have to guess or add print statements. The records were already there, and they said flatly the guard never ran, expected a gate. Actual nothing. Now find out why. The root cause, and it is a good one, because it is the kind that looks correct. A tool named in allowed tools is auto-approved by the SDK before your callback is ever consulted. That is documented behavior. It is even sensible. You said these are allowed, so it allows them. But my gate was made of exactly those tool names. So for every tool I actually cared about, the SDK approved it first and never asked my callback. The callback only would have fired for tools that were not in the list, which were never going to be called anyway. My security gate was guarding a door that nobody used, and standing wide open at the door everybody used. It looked right, it read right in review, it did nothing. The fix is to use the mechanism that cannot be shadowed. A PreToolUse hook runs before every tool call, period, whether or not the tool is on your allow list. Same logic, allow the read tools, deny the rest, but now it is actually in the path. One line of config, one small function. The change is tiny. The bug was never in the amount of code. It was in trusting the wrong seam and never checking that the seam was live. And the step that turns a fix into a closed incident, a regression test, and specifically a negative one. Not does the agent still answer tickets, it did that fine even while the guard was dead. The test asks the opposite question, does the guard actually block? So I feed tool names straight at the rail with no model involved and assert the answer. The read tools come back allow, a shell, a delete, an unknown tool, all come back deny. That test runs in CI now. If anyone ever shadows the gate again, this goes red before it ships. That is the whole difference. The old gate passed every test I had, because all my tests checked that good requests succeed. None of them checked that bad requests fail. A control is only real if you have watched it say no. Recap, As a method you can reuse on any incident. The alert was a warning I had stopped reading, so first make your alerts mean something. The trace came free from records we already kept. The root cause was a seam that looked correct and was silently bypassed. The fix was to move to a mechanism that cannot be bypassed. And the regression was a negative test. Prove the guard says no. The real lesson is bigger than one bug. Every safety thing we built, the cost ceiling, the injection defense, the permission rail is worthless until you have watched it actually fire. Test that your guards block, not just that your happy path works. A silent guard is worse than none because it hands you confidence you did not earn. Next episode is the last one. We step back and look at the whole architecture we built, the full scorecard journey from 56% to here, and how you would cold start a second agent from everything in this kit. See you there.